Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Here we are again. This is another episode of the Networking RX podcast. I am your host, Frank Agin, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections. Thanks for tuning in. If you are subscribed, thank you very much. If you've referred this to other people, thank you very much. If you've shared this on social media, thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Put a lot of work into this, sourcing materials, doing the podcast, sharing it out. Any help I can get, I truly appreciate. One of the things we talk about a lot on this podcast is we talk about giving to others. We talk about know, like, and trust. That's something that certainly comes up more. That's a phrase that's probably spoken on this podcast more than any other phrase. But a part of that is giving to others. And giving to others is truly a staple of building solid relationships. And when I say giving to others, I don't necessarily mean reaching into your pocket, grabbing your wallet, and pulling out cash or pulling out a credit card or anything monetarily. When I talk about giving to others, I really mean adding value to the world around you. It could be sharing information with others. It could be sharing opportunities. It could be sharing contacts, making introductions, and those are certainly simple things that don't necessarily take any money at all. But giving to others, helping others, adding value is a central theme with respect to building great relationships, whether they're professional or they're personal in nature. And you know how that all works is simply this: is when you help other people, they again come to know you, like you, and trust you. There it is. And from that, things will come back to you. So it's great to give to others, but it's also a great way of getting things for yourself. Helping other people drives things to you. And when you do things for other people, when you give them information comes back to you. When you share opportunities come back to you. When you make introductions and share contacts, people will share contacts with you. How do you do this? How does this all work? Well, I was reading a book, one of many books, but this book is by a gentleman by the name of Terry Bean. And Terry Bean is what I'll call a social architect. He does a lot of work. He's in the Detroit area. He does a lot of work in the Detroit community. I've had him on this podcast a couple times. He's kind of shared his story. He was I actually met him in Columbus, Ohio. He was part of what is now AmSpirit Business Connections. He was somebody very instrumental in helping me get it built. He's from the Detroit area, decided he was going to move back up there. And this was in the late 90s, early 2000s. He moved back up there, and he immediately started to immerse himself in the community. He immediately tried to help the community. He was really originally kind of had more of a national focus, but then he realized that Detroit needed help. And he was like, I'm going to help my community. I can certainly network myself worldwide, and he does, and he's nationally, he gets all over, and he speaks. Obviously with Zoom, he's everywhere. But he really doubled down on Detroit and helping Detroit, and he's one of the founders, one of the co-producers of the TEDx Detroit. He created an organization called Motor City Connect, which is basically an opportunity for others to connect with people in the Motor City area. If you want to meet people in Detroit, Michigan, Terry Bean is the guy you need to talk to. Terry, and again, I've interviewed him on the show. I would go back and listen to those episodes, or you can certainly reach out to me, and I can get you his contact information. He is somebody who is really open to talking with others. I mean, what he does is not free. He has fees for his services, but he's very worthwhile. Anyhow, Terry wrote a book called Be Connected: Strategies to Attract the Right Opportunities, Connections, and Clients Through Effective Networking. And there's a lot of great takeaways in the book. So I'm not saying what I'm about to tell you is not the only takeaway, but this is a great takeaway from the book, and it's something that I dog-eared that particular page, and I have been sharing it high and low. Anybody willing to listen to me about this insight, because um, yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of great insights, and everybody has great insights. All the different authors out there, Matt Ward, Bob Berg, Bill Cates, they all have great insights. But this was one that was just totally unique and really kind of, I don't want to say caught me off guard, but it was something I never really thought about. Anyhow, let me share this quote from the book. And by the book, I'm not going to read the whole book to you, but this is one particular quote. As you give to others, they feel almost obligated to give to you in return. Okay, end quote. Kind of what I've been saying. When you do things for others, they want to do something for you in return. He goes on, quote, this is the law of reciprocity. And here's the important part. More importantly, when you give to them, they instinctively become attuned to your needs. Opportunities for them to help you increasingly show up in your world. Okay? I won't read the whole passage, I won't read the whole chapter to you, but let me kind of paraphrase what Terry's saying, or what he's implying, and when he goes on to explain in the chapter, is that when you do for others, their minds almost immediately begin searching for things to do for you. I mean, that's the law of reciprocity. That's how he looks at it. And to me, that's so unique. Even as they sleep, their brains churn away at this challenge. Think about it. You do something for somebody, and they feel beholden to you. You're not keeping score. We shouldn't keep score. But when you do something for somebody, they're thinking about you like, oh my gosh, you know what? Tom did that thing for me. Wow. And he's not expecting anything. But boy, I would love to help him in return. I would love to, more than just say thank you for thinking of me, I would love to do something in return. And so what Terry is basically saying is, and this kind of gets into the brain science, is that when you do something for someone else, you set in motion this subconscious line of thinking where they're going to try and help you. So you don't need to be too worried about how others will help you. You just need to focus on helping them. You focus on helping others, and then you just trust their subconscious mind. You just trust this process that's going on. And I know a lot of times people do things for others, and they've got this timeline, like, well, something's got to come back, or it doesn't work. When you do something for others, and they know the types of things that you need, and that's why it's important that you let people know the types of things you're looking for, because you might say something and it might not seem to immediately register, but eventually it'll show up in their world because they're looking for it. Their brain is working on it. Hey, I would love to get a list of realtors in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area. If I say that to somebody, that's going to be a trigger in their brain, and they're going to be thinking about it, and all of a sudden they stumble across somebody who's a realtor in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They're going to say, oh my gosh, I know Frank said that. I'm thinking of Frank. Now, this whole notion of when you do things for other people, they become attuned to the things that you want in your world. After I read this, and I've been sharing with lots of people, but after I read this, certainly been thinking about it, but something happened in my world. Things are always happening in my world, but something in particular I want to use as an example. Somebody reached out to me and they invited me to be on their podcast. Something that, great. That's a huge opportunity for me to get my message out, to talk about our franchise opportunity, to talk about the things that I do to help people with respect to professional relationships, business networking, along with just basically sharing insights and ideas on how they can become more successful. That was just a great opportunity for me. Really kind of came out of left field. I was so appreciative. I was totally flattered, did the program. And so I'm out Raking leaves. Yeah, I rake leaves. Live amongst a lot of trees. This was about a month ago or so, and I'm just out there, and it's just listening to music or whatever, just raking leaves, and it's just kind of mindless work, right? If you've painted or raked leaves or mowed the yard, you know, you have that time where your brain's just kind of going, and I caught my brain thinking about this particular individual, just kind of going through sequentially, just kind of going through a Rolodex. Okay, what's there? What's there? How can we help this person? How can we help this person? How can we help this person? And it was kind of a fleeting thought, but I was just like, I had to stop. I'm like, oh my gosh, what Terry Bean is saying is correct. Is that when you do things for others, this person did something for me, you just instinctively become more attuned. And it was an example of it happening. Now, I haven't been able to come upon something yet, but I know my brain's working on it. In fact, I wrote their name down on my desk. And I'm going to leave their name out of it. But I wrote their name down on a piece of paper on my desk, and it's just sitting there just to continually remind me that, hey, keep churning on this, keep churning on this. And I have no doubt that in time, something will come from it. Something will come from it. My brain will seize upon something because it's looking for it. It's absolutely looking for it, according to what Terry's talking about. I'm just trusting my subconscious mind to do what needs to be done to fulfill the law of reciprocity. It might be yet today. It might be next week. It might be next year. But my brain is working on it, and it's not giving up on it. And I know there'll be a sense of satisfaction when I finally land upon that. So get out there and help people. Share information, share opportunities, share contacts. Just give to the people around you. Certainly let them know the things you are looking for. Don't be the Lone Ranger and I don't need anything kind of a thing. Let them know, hey, I'm looking for this. I'm looking for opportunities to get on podcasts. I'm looking for opportunities to talk about my book. I'm looking for opportunities to talk with people about coaching services or add specialty services. Certainly let people know, but don't worry too much because as you help them, their brains are working on ways to help you. And some people are going to be much better at it than others, but people are working on those sorts of things. To wrap up, what I'm about to say is key. Being networked is vital to success. And if you're responsible for driving sales in your business or profession, receiving referrals is the most effective means of generating revenue. It just is. It always has been. So if you're looking for easy ways to drive referrals, to get referrals for yourself, join a chamber, or even better, join a networking group like AmSpirit Business Connections. Having said that, think about this. If you had a choice, would you rather be a renter or the landlord? Now that's a no-brainer, right? It's almost a rhetorical question. You're smart. You want to be the person owning the building. You want to be the person owning the complex. So why do you just want to pay to be in a networking organization when you could make money from operating a networking organization? At AmSpirit Business Connections, we're looking for highly engaged entrepreneurs and professionals who want to operate a networking organization. It's essentially what we're franchising. We're franchising an opportunity to create a networking organization that allows you to not just be a renter in somebody's apartment, not just have you be a member in somebody else's organization. You basically get to build your own apartment complex. If you're interested, and why wouldn't you be, at least in learning more, maybe for yourself or somebody else, I invite you to reach out to me. My email is in the show notes, or we provide one at the end of the podcast. Again, we're in the process of our national expansion, and AmSpirit Business Connections, we're looking for franchisees. We're looking for organizers and managers around the country to help us. You'll make more money through this franchise opportunity. You'll make more money from professional connections, and you'll also make money building professional connections, because all of our franchisees do something else beyond just being the franchisee. They're also business people, and so they're making money from building these groups, and these groups are helping them make money within their own business, whether they're realtors, attorneys, financial advisors, coaches, consultants of various kinds.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connections. All rights reserved.